Tuesday, which means it's time for some overreactions with Graz. All right, Dan, starting things off. A.J. Brown and Maxx Crosby will both be on new teams in 2026. Overreaction or not?
It's not an overreaction. I think there's probably a tendency for people to say, oh, they didn't get moved last week when all the activity happened. But there's a whole offseason to go. It benefits the Eagles to wait till after June 1st to trade A.J. Brown if they're going to do it. Benefits them salary cap-wise. Maxx Crosby's got to get healthy. I think these are two trades that get revisited as the offseason goes along, and I don't think it's out of the question at all that one or both of them is on a different team in 2026.
Just to reiterate, it is not set in stone that Maxx Crosby will be on the Raiders week 1.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think there's still, if you get that kind of offer again or something close to it, you have to think about it because you were already making your plan without him. So, if you had to guess one way or the other, right now it feels like he probably will be. But between now and the trade deadline, a lot can happen.
Okay, number 2. The Pittsburgh Steelers will have their first losing season since 2003. Overreaction or not?
It's not an overreaction. Look, this is a team that's been 10-7 the last 3 years. They're flirting with 500 every single year. There's a chance that Mike Tomlin was the one sort of holding it together and getting the most out of this roster. They haven't done anything yet at quarterback. We think they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Is that going to be the right solution in his age 42 season? I think there's a lot of questions about this roster, and I don't think we should assume just because they're the Steelers that they'll finish over 500.
All right, our last one. This one's interesting. J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix Jr. are both done as starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Is that an overreaction?
Of course it's an overreaction. These guys are 2 years into their careers. Neither one of them has started 15 games in the league yet. Look, you bring in Tua Tagovailoa in Atlanta. There's a chance that Penix isn't ready to start the season. You bring in Kyler Murray in Minnesota because you want to push J.J. McCarthy. I don't think I think it's a complete overreaction to assume that these guys' teams are done with them, and certainly that they're done as starters in the NFL way too early.
All right, we're going to bring in Dan Orlovsky and Mel Kiper Jr. for this one and have a bigger conversation. Dano, look at the Atlanta quarterback situation. You got Penix going into his third year, coming off an injury. You have Tua signing up, looking for a second chapter of his career. What do you make of the situation in Atlanta?
Fully expect Tua to be the starting quarterback week 1 because of the reality of Michael Penix's health. Tua, you get half a season. Reality, both get half a year. Michael Penix and Tua, you got half a year to prove to us that you guys can still play. Now, that can be true while also saying from 2022 to 2024, Tua is a top 10 quarterback. And I know it was in a very specific system, Mike McDaniel, and it was custom tailor made for Tua. But he was a highly performing quarterback in that situation. He's performed significantly greater than Michael Penix has up until this point in their career, and I know different bodies have worked. But if I'm Atlanta and I'm Matt Ryan and Kevin Stefanski, president and head coach, you get half a year. And if you prove to us that you can play, we'll address it. But you get half a year or we're moving on to the 2027.
Terry Fontenot drafted Michael Penix. Raheem Morris was the coach. Neither one of those guys are there anymore. What do you make of the Michael Penix situation in Atlanta?
Exactly what Dano said. Durability concern with Penix Jr. Tua was a concern coming out of Alabama as well. But for this offense, he's ideally suited. In that dome, obviously, you think about processing and accuracy. Tua, this is, to me, is his opportunity to be, hey, I'm the guy here. I'm the guy who can move us forward. Same thing with Kyler. I think Kyler's the guy in Minnesota, not J.J. right now. Can J.J. reemerge down the road? Sure he can. But Tyler Murray was brought in, make no mistake about it, to be the guy. Same thing for Tua in Atlanta.
Dan Graziano, I hate to say it's a man without an army, but I prefaced it with new offensive coordinator, new head coach, new general manager, new president. Does it feel like Michael Penix Jr., like they're moving on from him?
I could see the argument, but it's the same owner. And this is an owner that invested a lot of money in Kirk Cousins and the 8th pick in the draft on Michael Penix in the same offseason. I think there's a sense in Atlanta that the owner of the team would like to see some more before making a decision on Michael Penix. 12 starts in the NFL. If you're basing your decision on Michael Penix off of 12 starts in the NFL, then you shouldn't have made that pick. So I think once he's healthy, he's viewed as the guy there. And Tua, man, like we've seen decline, right? The last couple of years, he's regressed as a player. And I don't think that's to be overlooked.
There's no question about it. Either of these guys, they have to be darn near flawless to be the future in Atlanta.
You think they're already turning the page?
Okay, so let's say Tua's the starting quarterback and Tua plays good football.
Yeah.
There's still going to be question marks of, well, why was that decline after the contract in Miami? How healthy are you going to be long time, which is justifiably so. Michael Penix somehow gets healthy enough, and that would be amazing, starts and he plays good. Are you going to go into 2027, year 2 under this new regime with the injury history and a quarterback that is still a little bit of a question mark performance-wise? Whoever's the guy has to play at such an incredibly high level consistently and be healthy for them to be a legitimate 2027.
No-brainer, like there are guys.
Yeah, Tua signed for only 1 year. Penix, you'll have to make a 5th-year option decision on him next May after his 3rd year in the league. And the other point is, both these guys have health issues.
Right.
Like, you probably
that has to factor in.
You probably need to add somebody else to this mix before the end of the offseason. I wonder if they go get another veteran just in case.
What's interesting is the Atlanta Falcons still have all that offensive firepower.
Sure.
They have all those top 10 picks. And that NFC South got a lot better this past season with Carolina now emerging as the champion team and the Saints as well. Coming up.
Have a new quarterback, and if that were a permanent thing, probably would have led the show, let's be honest. But KC has turned into Justin Fields as a Patrick Mahomes injury recovery stopgap, sending a 2027 6th-round pick to the Jets for the 27-year-old quarterback. That, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, who says Fields chose KC despite other teams showing interest. We are plenty interested in this man who is appropriately dressed on St. Patrick's Day. It's not Dan Orlovsky's first day. Dan, what do you think of the fit for Fields in KC?
Randy, good to see you, man. I feel like you guys haven't allowed me on your show in about 2 years, so good to be back. Good to be back. Proud of you boys. I think this makes sense for Kansas City because they have a quarterback that has starting experience. I do not see this as a Daniel Jones resurgence, Baker Mayfield resurgence, Sam Darnold career resurgence situation. But Kansas City, because of the injury to Patrick Mahomes, needed somebody that could help run their offseason and potentially start the season at quarterback if Patrick Mahomes is not healthy enough. So Justin has had moments in his career where the arrow is pointing up, and he's had moments in a career of some struggle. And I think that Kansas City is a good landing spot for him to try to just establish himself as a consistent, maybe backup quarterback in the NFL. And it just gives wiggle room for Kansas City not to have to rush Patrick Mahomes back onto the field.
If Mahomes can't start in week 1, Fields will be the first quarterback to start a season opener for 4 different teams in 4 straight seasons. That's more travel than Dan Orlovsky. You know what I mean?
You mean Tan Orlovsky?
I mean Tan Orlovsky. Let's shift the focus to Fields' most recent former team.
Shut up, Gary.
That'll be the Jets. All right, we talked with Mel Kiper earlier in the show about New York potentially signing drafting Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson, 16th overall. How do you view Simpson as a pro prospect, Dan?
Much higher on him than others. I see Brock Purdy all over his game, and I really believe that if Ty Simpson was 6'4", or he had 20-plus college starts, he would run away be the number 2 pick of the draft to the New York Jets. I think his tape is fantastic. I think he's outstanding throwing the football down the field, getting through progressions 1 to 2 to 3. He's got unbelievably fast eyes. He's surgical with his ball placement when it matters the most in tight windows. And I understand that there's concerns about his height, and I understand there's concerns at only 15 starts. But when you watch his tape in big games, Georgia, Missouri, Vanderbilt, he's phenomenal. And I firmly believe he's going to be a first-round pick. His tape is absolutely worthy of it. I would draft him as the Jets. If at 16, I absolutely would.
All right, fitting us in between rounds of golf and